So this person is just absolutely elite at what they do. And we were out on the track, and the person was kind of getting ready for their warm up and everything. And we're just talking about competition, like, the competitors. And a sprinter is in a sport where, the difference between first and second place might be 1/10 of a second or 100th of a second. It's really close. So I said, when you're thinking about your competition, how do you even know who's going to win? I mean, when you go down to the blocks and you put your hands down, your foot in the block, you're getting ready to go, you're waiting for that gun to go off, and you're looking across the other people or thinking about the other people, how do you know who's going to win that race? And he says, I'm going to bet on the person who looks at the finish line and says, I'm going to do this for my mom. And I was like, wow. And that kind of explains the concept of performance necessity. Performance necessity is using your mind and priming your mind in a way that makes you doing a good job in that specific activity a must and not a preference. And there's a lot of things that people would like to do or want to do, but they don't do it because the psychological necessity is not there, meaning it's not necessary for them to perform well. It's not necessary for them to excel or to win there, so they don't. But what I found in this huge study was that high performers, like to a T, they all kind of psych themselves up going into the major activities. If they're walking into work that day, they're gonna go, I'm gonna crush it today. And then they say things to themselves with their self-talk that make them crush it that day. So let me tell you how do you develop it. There's 4 things about psychological necessity. Number 1, the reason it's a must and not a preference for them is because high performers have kind of allowed themselves to associate their identity with doing well in that specific thing. And that's scary for most people. We don't want to put our hearts and our minds and our identity all in to something, because what if we do bad? If you want to be a poker player and you say, I'm a poker player and I'm being a world-class poker player, and you lose a bunch of games, there's a lot of psychological risk there, right? Most people never go all in with their identity to something because it's scary. If your identity says you're an amazing mom, you treat your kids differently than if you don't think about how you are as a mom, right? If you're gonna go in that meeting, if I get 2 guys going in the meeting and one says, I'm going to be present and deliver just exceptional in this meeting, and another dude just kind of strolls in from Starbucks, I'm gonna bet on the guy who goes in with high intention for being exceptional there. So you have to say that. You have to allow yourself to say, I'm going to deliver here with excellence. It's important to who I am as a person. When I interviewed these high performers from around the world in these structured, deep psychological interviews, here's what was amazing. Almost to a T, every single one of them allowed themselves that association of their identity. Most of the general public, they don't do that. Underperformers never do. It's too much risk, right? They might get disappointed. So I'm just here, if you want to be exceptional at what you're doing, you need to adopt the identity that says, it is important to who I am to do well here. And here's what high performers also do. They not only say, it's important to who I am to do well here, because it's part of their identity. When I talked with them in the interviews, they all said, I can't imagine doing anything else. They all said it. This is my thing. I love this thing. It's who I am, Brendon, to do this. That's why they're succeeding at it. It's who they are to do it. If it's who you are to do it, then you don't have to force it. It's just who you are. You're doing the thing that is who you are. You follow? That's why they become high performers, because everyone else is faking it till they're making it. They're forcing it. They're not following who they are. They're not congruent, right? High performers are doing what they feel is congruent to who they really are, and that's why they outperform everybody else around them. And that's just one element of psychological necessity we talk about in the book. The second one is all high performers tend to be obsessed with the topic. I mean, like dork out about it, like geek out about it, like they get obsessed. And an obsession is different than a passion, okay? Passions are okay. The whole world wants you to be passionate, right? Live with passion, follow your passions, do your passions, be passionate at work. Everyone wants you to be passionate. Passion is safe, passion is accepted, and passion is expected. But here's the difference between a passion and an obsession. When you're obsessed with something, people think you're crazy. When you're passionate, they congratulate you. Ooh, passion. When you're obsessed, they warn you. They say, "Well, you're spending too much time on that. Why do you care so much about it?" They think you're weird for liking it. That's how you know the difference. Now, of course, there's unhealthy obsessions, when you do it and focus on it so much that you wreck a relationship, that you can't stop thinking about it. It becomes so compulsive. But I always share that high performers, they are obsessive about their topic. And what I mean by that is they're obsessive about mastering that topic. They want to get good at it. Like a high-performing chess player, they want to master that game. They don't want to just, play the game. They want to be known for the game. Like they want to develop a high level of mastery at that. Same thing in any other given genre. Like the high performers always stand out because you can tell they do more research on it. Why? Because they're obsessed with it, right? They pay attention to their numbers. Why? They're obsessed with it. They want that feedback. Why? They're obsessed with getting better at that specific topic, so they do deliberate practice. We know this of high performers, that internally, they generate this necessity by saying, this is who I am, and I love this topic so much, I'm gonna obsess on it. Then, that's just the internal game. There's an external game of necessity too. Sometimes you perform at your highest levels because you feel a sense of social duty or social obligation, or even maybe spiritual purpose, meaning there's something outside of you. So it's not just your identity or what you like to do or obsessed with doing. It's that there's something that you feel called to do or obligated to do, and you do it because of that. You've heard that phrase that we'll often do more for other people than we'll do for ourselves. That comes true with high performers. When I interview them, they say, you know what? I had to do that. I said, why are you so amazing? I'm doing it for my family. Why are you so amazing? Well, my wife and I our backs are against the wall financially, so I'm showing up each day. Why are you so amazing? Well, because I know that my team or my fans or my students or the kids across the street, they're watching, they're seeing me. I want to be a role model for them, right? Why are you so amazing? Well, my parents are struggling right now, and I know that they need me to show up and bring my A game. Who needs you to bring your A game? That's a question high performers ask themselves. When they sit down at their desk, I didn't know this, by the way. This is one of the things I said to you. This was a surprise to me. Now at my house, at my desk, there's a little postcard, because a high performer told me about this, that right next to my desk, I sit down and it says, who needs your A game? And it makes me, instead of just jumping into my inbox or starting my day or getting hooked on social media or some distraction, I go, who needs me to show up today? It's that sprinter from the beginning of this video saying, that I'm gonna bet on the person who says, I need to win this race for my mom. That's psychological necessity, an external drive, right? Social duty, obligation, purpose. Doing well for other people is a drive. And then the last element of these four, remember, number one is they associate their identity with doing well, right? That's why it becomes a must. They're obsessed with it. That's why it becomes a must. They're doing it for others or for a calling or a spiritual purpose or for an obligation, right? I think it's important to say that high performers don't do it just because it's, rainbows and airy-fairy and everything's perfect. Sometimes it's obligation. It's the CEO who's outperforming the other people in their competition or their industry, not because they want to, but because there's pressure from the other, from Wall Street, from their investors, from the competition itself. So sometimes, bringing your A game, you don't bring your A game just because it's amazing and you want to be awesome. You bring your A game because you have to, right? You have to deliver. And this last one is so important. The fourth one has a lot to do with that. It's, get ready, you're gonna hate it, sorry, deadlines. High performers, it's necessary for them to bring their A game because there's usually an external deadline. Olympians don't choose when and where the Olympics are. CEOs don't choose when and where the quarterly call or the meeting is, right? We don't get to choose these things. Entrepreneurs don't get to choose when and where and how much their customers are gonna buy. We have to show up for others and to others' timelines in life sometimes too. So here's what high performers do. They remind themselves of the deadlines and the times and why it is necessary, why there are consequences to doing it by then, right? And they remind themselves, they psychologically give themselves that self-talk. They go, I need to get this done now, and here is why. And being connected with that too is really important. I need to win this race at this stage of my career. I need to be better for my relationship right now at this stage of our marriage. Like they tell themselves about the timing and why it's important to do well.